State Representatives Metcalf, Toth, Kissman, Cunningham, and Ashby, your State Senator Brandon Creighton, and a member from Congress Morgan Luttrell. On the update, there now are 91 counties that have been impacted by this ravaging storm. 91 counties, for which I have declared a state disaster. There are 232 responding agencies, counting state and local agencies, as well as federal, that are responding to this. There are 5 states from outside the state of Texas that are also providing assistance, and we thank them for lending their personnel to respond to this enormous and catastrophic event. Altogether, at the state level, the state has evacuated 124 people and rescued 58, including 99 pets. When you hear stories at the local level, there's well over 500 people who have been rescued through the operations at local levels. We cannot thank the local emergency responders enough for their professionalism, for the extraordinary efforts they went through. You know, I talked about how 3 lives are lost. What we do not know is when you look at all the rescues performed by the emergency first responders, which is well into the hundreds, how many lives were saved by those first responders. We thank them for what they do. As of this morning, the update on roads at the state level, not at the local level, but on state roads. As of this morning, there are 43 locations on state roads that are closed due to high water, and there are 14 locations on state roads that are closed due to flood damage. Those reports are based upon assessments that we have at this time. Obviously, they will be updated as additional assessments come in. As far as power outages are concerned, at the peak on Thursday, there were about 160,000 power outages. As of a short time ago, that is down to now less than 7,000. As it concerns structures, damage to structures obviously is catastrophic for the owner of those structures, whether it be a residence, a business, or a government facility or building. But what we have reported is about 800 damage reports to structures across the entire region. Know this, and that probably is a very low number. The reason for it is because of the weather, because of the storms, because of the rushing water, we've not had the ability to make the assessments that are needed to be made in order to identify all of the structures that have been damaged. Those numbers will continue to come in and obviously and likely continue to grow in number here in the coming days. As far as shelter, because of the number of people who needed to evacuate, who needed to escape the storms, people were seeking shelter. As of today, the information we have is, at least as of last night, there were 125 people who were in a shelter situation at that time. That number may increase because of the reality that there is going to be an increase in water levels in rivers all across this entire region. That increase in the water flow of rivers could lead to greater flooding in those regions, which could lead to more evacuations of even more people. So that the number may grow to be more than 125, or in certain regions, as the waters begin to recede, there could be the opportunity for people to go back into their homes. Our goal is to make sure that everybody who needs shelter will be able to get that shelter. More information about that will be provided by Chief Nim Kidd here very shortly. Once again, I want to thank our first responders for everything they did and continue to do to step up and respond to the storm. So now as rain is not falling where we are right now, there could be some people who think, well, you know what, we may be out of the woods. That would not be the correct thing to think for several reasons. One is, I was just mentioning, rivers are going to continue to rise for days. Specifically, the Trinity, San Jacinto, and Navasota rivers are expected to continue to rise. Anybody around the regions of those three rivers needs to know the rising waters in your area, and be sure and listen to what your local officials are saying about what action needs to be taken to make sure that you're saving your life as well as your property. There will remain road closures for a while. One thing we talked about in the briefing, and that is destruction to roads, whether they be state roads or county roads. It may take a while to be able to repair some of those roads based upon what the conditions are. And other roads, it may be perfectly fine after the water recedes, but we still need the time for the water to recede from those areas in order for traffic to be able to make it safely through those facilities or areas. One thing along these lines that I cannot emphasize enough, and that is everybody driving a vehicle, they can ensure that they protect their lives and the lives of others when they're on the road by making sure they never drive into high water. We've seen horrific deaths and injuries arise because of vehicles driving into high water, thinking that they could make it through, only to, in the end, lose their life. It is not worth risking your life to drive through high waters. You know the old saying, turn around, don't drown. It still applies, even though water is not falling where we are right now, especially around these areas that will have raging rivers that will be overflowing the banks in the coming days. Know that you could be in a situation where if you drive into that water, you could be putting your life at risk. Another thing that's going to be of utmost importance as we move forward from this day on is inspections of commercial facilities, of residential facilities, all different types of facilities to, for one, determine that there is no one who has been injured or lost their life, but two, what is the extent of damage and what must be done to repair those damages, and whether or not those damages can be reported and counted toward a FEMA disaster declaration. So on the rebuilding part, one thing that we are strongly urging everybody to do today, if you haven't done so yet, and that is to report your damages. As Chief Gibb will go into greater detail here shortly, in order for this region to be able to receive federal financial assistance, it's important that there is enough identified damages that qualify us for that federal assistance. We won't know that unless you report your facility as being damaged. There's a very easy tool to use to get that job done. In fact, it is on this sign right here. If you go to this website location on your phone, on your laptop, any type of communication device whatsoever, that is the shortcut pathway to report your damages. If you're unable to do that, be sure and contact your local elected officials and let them know what your damages are, or otherwise contact the Texas Division of Emergency Management so we can make sure that if you have sustained damages, we will be able to get that reported. With damages, oftentimes comes several other things. One is scams. Listen, there's going to be people knocking at your door, people calling you, people with signs up, offering to put you first in line for repairs, asking for your money up front, and they'll come back the next day to complete the repairs, but never show back up. Do not fall prey to scams. The best way you can do that is maybe look into the person that you're trying to hire to do the repair work on your home and make sure they're well qualified and have a good reputation. If they can't be found anywhere on the internet or anything like that, you may be dealing with somebody who could be involved in a scam. So just watch out. You've already lost your property. Don't lose your money to a scammer. Let's see. That may be about it on my report. At this time, I'd like to turn things over to County Judge Keough.
Thank you, Governor. Appreciate y'all being here. Governor, thank you for your comments. And as usual, you were very thorough in covering all these things. I do want to say, as you think about the amount of recoveries and the amount of rescues and whatnot, we already heard the state level, but as we now get into and really look at the hard numbers of what has taken place locally, I can tell you that in our county, we've got upwards between 300 and 350 rescues, whether it be from evacuations of homes, whether it be from people who have driven off the road and side of the road. So far, to the best of our knowledge, we have had no loss of life in Montgomery County, and for which we're thankful for. Also want to say that we now are in a recovery mode. We have been in the rescue and response mode. Being in the recovery mode, it is our goal, as you mentioned, Governor, that we have to do damage assessments, and we will go house by house into these communities and do those damage assessments, but we can't file this on the individual's benefit. They have to do it themselves. We've already been given the data that you need to do it. I would encourage you to write it down and to go to it and report the damage. And that way, the quicker we get that, the better off we're going to be. I will say that because, Governor Abbott, thank you because of your proactive approach in declaring a disaster early. Was remarkable for TDM to be able to send us the resources that we need. The Texas Task Force, who came here immediately, which is going to stay until we're done. Not just for us, but for the entire region, will be able to use these. There are other with mutual aid agreements that we have with other states who have come here and are helping us as well in the entire region. And as I say to all the elected officials, if you don't know what is available, then you need to contact our Office of Emergency Management right here in Montgomery County. We'll be glad to tell you anything that you need to know. But I believe we're moving in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to do. So I'm just so thankful that you did that ahead of time, and for the proactivity in that, and to NIM Kid, we just appreciate it. Special thanks also to my Director of Homeland Security Emergency Management, Jason Millsaps, who is absolutely put together with our ESDs, with our Sheriff's Office, the constables, with the Department of Public Safety, with the various emergency agencies, a plan that we were planning for hurricane season, and guess what? We had a chance to practice it in this particular situation, and it has worked great. So I want to thank him specifically for that. And that's pretty much all we have done.
Very good. Thank you, Judge. And now Liberty County Judge Jay Knight.
Thank you, Governor. Well, Judge Keough, as you know, we're a little bit more rural than you are, so we don't have nearly the assets on hand immediately. But thank you, good Lord, we have the governor's teams together with Texas Division of Emergency Management who came immediately. Actually, they were there before the incident really started. Now, in that consideration, volunteer fire departments, we depend on those guys all over the county, and we have 14, I believe, at this time. And they're stressed, but at the same token, they're doing everything they can to help folks. We have the Texas Game Wardens with the Department of Wildlife that came out and helped us. They brought 7 airboats to help in the rescues. So we discussed this earlier, Governor, with you and Chief Kidd. The incident over on the East Fork Simpson River is pretty much over as far as the incident, but not the recovery. That's where we're at now. My biggest concern right now is the Trinity River. I know that the dam is releasing 115,000 cubic feet per second right now. 787, which is the foreign market on the north end of our county, has a bridge that's just been closed by TxDOT for erosion. I mean, it was just completed about a year ago, I just got notification that U.S. County is going to close between Dayton and Conroe. So it tells you that the water is coming up. The water is still an issue. This incident is not over. But boy, have I got a great team I get to work with. And thank y'all so much. Chief Kid, I think this is ninth or 10th incident we've had in the last 10 years. Governor, you've been right there with us. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Judge. And now to Chief Nim Kidd, the head of the Texas Division of Emergency Management.
Thank you, Governor. As the people at the table have mentioned, life safety is still our #1 priority. It will be our #1 priority through the duration of this incident. As we move into recovery mode, damage assessments are critical to our future success. Please visit damage.tdm.texas.gov for individuals to report damage to their homes, and then we will work with our government partners to get our public assistance thresholds. If you have flood insurance, the first thing you need to do is contact your insurance agent. Flood insurance is very important to help you recover. But I will tell you, as of last night, we have only had 501 people statewide register claims with their flood insurance provider. That means either there's people that have not registered yet, or we have a whole lot of uninsured loss in this event. Tomorrow, our federal partners from the Small Business Administration and FEMA will be here to start doing damage assessments with us. You will see them with our state teams and our local partners go out to where they can safely access to start doing damage assessments. As a thumb rule, we need 800 homes that are major damage or destroyed, meaning lost the roof, lost exterior walls, or washed off their piers or foundations, that are uninsured to be eligible to qualify for FEMA individual assistance. But I want to set the standard here. FEMA individual assistance is a maximum of $75,000 grant. And if you go back to Hurricane Harvey, the average payout was only $2,400 per household. So flood insurance, if you do not have flood insurance right now and your home did not flood, just because you do not live in a flood plain does not mean you're not eligible for flood insurance. Call your insurance agent, try to get flood insurance. There's a 30-day waiting period, and hurricane season is right around the corner. On the public assistance side, for a federal declaration, our state agencies and local partners need to demonstrate over $54 million of uninsured damage to government infrastructure and response cost. I believe we're going to hit that for this event, but I've got to be able to demonstrate those numbers to our federal partners. It's said earlier, and I'll say it again, our local partners and first responders are best in the nation. I want to thank them for their tireless efforts out there. The state agencies, many standing behind us right now, live and work in these communities, and they're ready to support our local partners as well. Our federal partners have been here with us, and our volunteer organizations are the ones that really save our bacon whenever the federal government doesn't come in with individual assistance. The Red Cross has been working hard at opening shelters, but there are dozens of 501c3 volunteer organizations active in disaster that are out there working on the streets taking care of our citizens. We will be relying on them as we rebuild. Our damage assessments will start tomorrow. If you see those teams out, tell them thank you for being there. As the governor mentioned, you can have blue sky over these next few days, and water can still be over the roads. Do not move a barricade to drive around it. It's placed there for a reason. It was not forgotten. It's there because somewhere down that road, either there's water over the road, or the road may look dry and is unstable and not safe to drive on. Please turn around, don't drown when you get to a barricade. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. And once again, thank you to all of the officials here today and the teams who work with them, literally around the clock, to make sure that constituents across this entire region will be taken care of. It's stunning when you think about it that more than a third of all the counties in the state of Texas have been impacted by this weather event. We have a massive undertaking over the coming days, but also know this, and that is the state of Texas is going to work side by side with all of these local officials until the very last house is going to be rebuilt. We're going to be here with you every step of the way. We'll take a few questions. So I have not yet. I don't know about NIM, but here's the way that it typically works, and that is we go through all the assessment part, and we kind of have to make an assessment about where we are before that official outreach begins. That said, I bet NIM will tell you what typically happens is he and FEMA are in touch before the storm even hits.
Yes, sir. We've had FEMA in our emergency operations center with our federal partners, and every day me and my team are talking to FEMA Region 6. So great relationship there. They're ready to help.
Anybody else?
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.